Even more lavish gifts for Supreme Court justices. Hunter Biden is found guilty on all counts. And something uplifting in the news this week? Is it weird that this somehow gives me more anxiety? That and more in this week's America Uncovered headlines. Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. Donald Trump continues to spout his destructive, toxic rhetoric. This time, Trump has the audacity to say, don't do drugs. Yes, Trump is wrong. He's always wrong. You should do drugs. According to this LA Times opinion piece, Trump's advice on drinking and drugs being don't start is more than impractical, it's dangerous. Yes, Trump says don't do drugs, so we should do drugs. Thank you. A recent study published in the Annals of Neurology journal has found that stressful life events can make you more susceptible to developing Alzheimer's later on. Wait, I covered the news. That's nothing but stressful life events. Thank goodness it just affects your memory later on. And my memory is still as sharp as whatever you call those. A recent study showed that Gen Xers are being diagnosed with cancer more often than their parents' generation. The study indicated this might be partially due to advances in medical technology, making it easier to detect cancer earlier, leading to more diagnoses. And even though public health initiatives have led to fewer people smoking in younger generations, rising obesity rates and various other carcinogens could be contributors. Potential carcinogens like microplastics. Scientists are in a race against time to figure out their full effects on humans because they're everywhere. And I mean everywhere. As I've covered, researchers found microplastics in every human testicle they examined. And now, other scientists have found microplastics in every human semen sample tested in a study. What's next? Is this going to lead to microplastics impregnating a human egg and the birth of plastic people? Actually, I think that's already happening. That's how we got the Kardashians. Nevada will expand electronic voting into tribal lands, which is worrying security experts. You know, with all the worries about electronic voting machines and voting by mail, I say we should go back to the good old days, tried and true methods of electing our leaders, leaving your house, showing up somewhere in person, and having them fight in ritualistic combat to determine who's strong enough to lead. Never heard fraud allegations back then, now did we? Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas has acknowledged even more gifts given to him by his friend, billionaire Republican mega-donor Harlan Crow, from back in 2019. This included food and lodging in Bali, Indonesia, and Sonoma County, California. Boy, that's a really good friend. Thomas got all those gifts, and it wasn't even his birthday. Usually all my friends get me for my birthday is posting HBD on my Facebook page that I haven't used in 6 years. Thomas isn't the only Supreme Court justice with generous friends, though. Ketanji Brown Jackson received 4 tickets to a Beyoncé concert, as well as a $900,000 advance for a book deal. 3 other justices also received 6-figure book deals. Given this and the politicized nature of, I was going to say, who appointed the judges and the decisions they've made, but to be fair, everything is politicized these days, it's no wonder views of the Supreme Court remain at near record lows. Those poor Supreme Court justices. Hearing this must make them so sad. Why, I know what will cheer them right up. A fancy vacation getaway. This is going to pay off. It's a present that they'll definitely get around to acknowledging in their financial statements one day. Maybe. Speaking of money, economist and financial author Harry Dent predicts that the economy is in a bubble that's about to burst, and that the crash could be worse than the 2008 recession.
This is not good policy, my point of view. And you know what? If this can go another 5 years, I may have to admit, you know what? Flooding the money with the economy with extra money forever might actually enhance the overall economy long term. But what we'll only see when we see this bubble burst.
Oh no, if that happens, then housing might be unaffordable and grocery costs could skyrocket. Now that I say it out loud, it doesn't seem like that bold of a prediction, does it? And after the break, Hunter Biden's found guilty. Welcome back. A recent study published in the Annals of Neurology journal has found that stressful life events can make you more susceptible to developing Alzheimer's later on. Wait, I covered the news. That's nothing but stressful life events. Thank goodness it just affects your memory later on, and my memory is still as sharp as whatever you call those. Hunter Biden has been found guilty on all 3 of his federal gun charges. He's now facing up to 25 years in prison, though no sentencing date has been set yet. Federal sentencing guidelines for this case recommend between 15 and 21 months in prison. Hunter's father, President Biden, said he will continue to respect the judicial process as Hunter considers an appeal. So in the span of a few weeks, this makes the first time in history a former president and a sitting president's child were convicted of felonies, proving that no one is above the law in an election year. The verdict doesn't come as much of a surprise, as the evidence against Hunter was pretty ugly and explicit. Matt can tell you firsthand just how ugly it is, right, Matt? Matt? It'll be interesting comparing and contrasting the media's coverage of Trump and Hunter's convictions. Oh wait, did I say interesting? I meant to say predictable and exhausting. The right-leaning New York Post says even this guilty verdict won't end Hunter Biden's entitled arrogance. Unlike Donald Trump, who isn't arrogant in the slightest. Nope, most humble man I've ever seen, who just happens to refer to himself in the third person. Also, it's interesting that the right isn't talking about what Hunter was convicted of, lying about his drug use on a federal form to obtain a firearm. You'd think they'd be against the entire situation as a potential Second and Fifth Amendment violation. Then again, I'm sure the left wouldn't be in a rush to defend Trump if he were arrested for smoking weed while paying for an abortion. Then there's the fact that Hunter Biden didn't testify during his trial. Of course, left-leaning media outlets didn't accuse him of being spineless for choosing not to testify like they did with Donald Trump. By not speaking, they don't risk incriminating themselves. It's part of the Fifth Amendment. It's why when cops make arrests, they say, "You have the right to remain silent." Only an idiot feels the need to speak at every opportunity, even if it makes them look bad. Which makes it super surprising Trump didn't speak. But you know what? As much as we here at America Uncovered officially endorse Chris Christie, America Uncovered's officially endorsed presidential candidate, what the country really needs right now is a Trump-Hunter Biden ticket, America Uncovered's officially endorsed second pick for the presidential election. These two could truly represent one of the most overlooked demographics in America. Those who are targets of politically motivated trials, convicted on questionable grounds, but will likely face few consequences because they grew up with rich, powerful fathers. Speaking of Trump's criminal trial, Trump met virtually with probation officials. Though the meeting was said to be cordial and lasted just 30 minutes, being convicted of a crime while running a presidential campaign and facing several other criminal trials sounds really stressful. I wonder if stressful life events could lead to some sort of physical ailments like memory loss. Nah, that'd be crazy. In unrelated news, a recent study published in the Annals of Neurology journal has found that stressful life events can make you more susceptible to developing Alzheimer's later on. Wait, I covered the news. That's nothing but stressful life events. But does it have to be? The news is insanely negative. Bad news dominates the headlines because they're more eye-catching. That's because humans are hardwired with the negativity bias. We tend to focus more on the negative. Humans developed a negativity bias as a survival tactic as our ancestors were evolving. Neuropsychologist Rick Hansen explains it.
So the negativity bias comes in this way. Our ancestors had to both approach carrots and avoid sticks. All right? But here's the difference between a carrot and a stick in the wild. If you fail to get a carrot today, you'll probably have a chance at a carrot tomorrow. But if you fail to avoid that stick today, whap, no more carrots forever.
No carrots forever? Then what will I dip in ranch dressing? Besides celery, chicken wings, french fries, broccoli, and Twizzlers. And I know what you're thinking. Ew, who eats ranch dressing with broccoli? Maybe all this constant bad news is why so many cable networks are seeing a decline in their audience, and confidence in the media is at an all-time low. But we here at America Uncovered want you to know, as scary as the news makes the world seem, there's tons of good in it. Like this 5-year-old boy born without his left hand who became the youngest person on Earth to use a bionic hero arm styled like Iron Man. And that makes me feel good. which is important because a recent study published in the Annals of Neurology journal has found that stressful life events can make you more susceptible to developing Alzheimer's later on. Speaking of things worth remembering, America Uncovered wouldn't exist without your support on the crowdfunding website patreon.com/AmericaUncovered. You can contribute however much you want, but you could also set it up for even $1 an episode. And as a thank you, I'll answer one of your questions on the show. Today's comes from Bill Was. Hey Chris, I so admire the work you and your team does to bring we the people an uncensored China and an uncovered America. While watching this video, a thought occurred to me. Assuming Trump is elected president, could he pardon himself? Keep up the great work. Well, thank you so much, Bill. I wouldn't be able to uncover or uncensor anything without all the amazing support I get from fans like you, since YouTube is actively trying to run me out of business. By the way, make sure you're still subscribed. So to answer your question, even as a convicted felon, Trump can run and be elected president. It's implausible he could run the country from a cell, and some legal experts say the resulting constitutional crisis would require that his sentence be suspended so that he could fulfill his duties as the nation's chief executive. But it seems like he wouldn't be able to pardon himself. Trump cannot pardon himself in this case, as presidential pardons only apply to federal cases, not state cases. But there's so much legal magic happening these days, who knows how it would actually shake out. Thanks for your question and your support, Bill. And if you didn't know, I have a new philosophy channel called Deep Thoughts While Gaming, where I look at games and what they can teach us. This one is about the remake of Paper Mario and why you should be proud to be an American, even if the country isn't perfect. Click here and let me know what you think. America Uncovered wouldn't exist without your support. Click that orange button to join Bill on Patreon. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time.